Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon and I write games for fun. So you may be wondering, hey, where was the stream yesterday, Notepad? That I realized it was a little bit too late. By the time it's kind of one of those moments I realized, like, oh, it's pretty late right now. I should, so I should stream, and I just never did because it was either going to be like a half-hour stream or it was going to be like this monstrous one. But I did make a couple of decisions. So let me just open everything up, make it all nice, pretty, light. You think I would get this done before AM? Nah. We play things fast and loose here. So, FISTS of CHOS is the game we're working on, and this may be the final stream for this. Now, you may be wondering, but why? Didn't we have a bunch of styles to do? Didn't we have a bunch of things like that to do? Yes. However, I kind of made an executive decision I'm only going to add 2 full styles and kind of into the book. And why I did that was for my own sanity, because it each 3 took about an hour and a half each. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of work. And like, that's a lot of stuff to do. So I kind of said, you know what? Let's take a step back. Let's just get the 2 that we have so far. Or 1, technically, that we did. Because if I scroll down here, actually, I don't need this section anymore. Because I will get to that in a minute. We have our overgrowth ones. And we have the new dog hunter style, which is a lot about disabling. Then if we move down, we go to our Kenshi ones. We have our Ocarina's Fist, which is a lot of defense with a lot of utility as well. Liberated Fist style, lots of damaging abilities, and the Falling Sun style, which has no defensive moves but only offense, which kind of makes it a little bit ridiculous in its own right. I also Coomer over Jury more because that's who I am. And this is what I mean of I kind of went a little bit nuts. Let me just add that little section right there. So, what does this mean? I'm going to show Jerry off more because Jerry is my waifu and you can't take that away from me. Is effectively I put a system in to make your own styles, and this is a lot of my own thoughts and ideas. I have all of the terms, a lot of status effects. I should actually bump you up by 1. Get everything there. Yeah. Terms, status effects. Welcome to Darkstalkers. If you realized I just embraced the cool. I don't know what happened there. Give me 1 second. Sometimes that's all you got to do with some of these games. Just embrace cool. Become one. Become as gods as they would say. And you see here, here's our Mika. Pretty much I broke it down into 5 fairly distinct parts. If I go all the way back up here. And the part 1 is terms and ideas. So this is pretty much me breaking down what a style is versus what it isn't, and kind of some of the kind of key points going into it. Part 2 is the concept of the style. I think that's kind of where you have to start off with any form of combat or any style or anything creative like that. You have to have a concept in mind. Saying, I want to make a style about punching people, that doesn't mean anything to anyone. However, going in there saying, hey, I want to make a style. That's a lot of key effects. It's a big punches. I want to make Ryu's fighting style. You immediately kind of have an idea of what you would like and what you kind of have. Also go into a little bit of detail on how to best reflect something like that. Then we go into wax on, wax off, which is, outside being a Karate Kid reference, is about move design. So, we zoom down to move design. Pretty much, this is a very bulky way of putting it, but you can break down every move into 3 separate categories. Simple, complex, and specific. A simple move requires one thing to be true. I have both my arms available. I have both my feet available. I am grabbing you. I'm punching you. You're attacking me or something like that. Something very simple to do, so then you can, surprise, surprise, use your move. That's a simple one. It's very simple to get across, and these are going to be your bread and butter abilities. These are the ones that are simplest to pull off, easiest to kind of keep the rhythm going with, and kind of the easiest to set up. Complex move is a lot more, have more triggers, has 2 or more of these triggers available. I use the snap kick defensive move from the Lugaru military as an idea, because not only does it require both your legs to be functional, it also requires you to be attacked. So it's one of those moments where, okay, there's 2 things that have to be true for this move to work properly. On the flip side, other complex moves may have 4 or 5 different triggers of you have to be getting attacked. 1, you have to be getting attacked with arms. 2, you have to, both your arms must be available. 3, and suddenly you have all these little requirements that must be met. But the more requirements you put on, the simpler they should be to achieve. However, the more devastating the ability is as well. And then specific moves are something with some very specific idea behind it. I use the liberated fist style quite a bit from Kenshi, which the entire style about that is a lot of the early ones, the first 3 ranks roughly, have to assume that the character is bound in some way, and they use their chains to fight a lot better. So that's just something specific. If you're not bound, you can't use 2 of your moves, because again, you're not bound in any way. But the entire point of that style is to fight while you're being enslaved. So that's kind of the benefit there. That's how you fight with that. On the other hand, more specific moves may require more specific situations to occur. Such as, I have to be next to terrain, or I have to have an edged weapon, or I have to have a blunt weapon. Every single trigger that is really specific in application has, needs to be kind of accounted for, one may say. So let me do a quick check. Ooh. So I also have an entire thing on the cost. Effectively, I have an idea of how valuable certain moves are compared to others. Having the chain keyword in one move makes it a lot more valuable than if it's just, just plain. However, if it's just plain and put the keyword, it becomes more valuable. So it's kind of like, where do you want to put these various moves? And while having something like a chain keyword move suddenly makes it a lot more powerful. So then I go into putting the style in martial arts style. This is about utility and keywords. Same thing as above. I tried to use the, I'll go over Armika here. The idea of the rule of equivalency. What does the rule of equivalency effectively say? Effectively, everything has to equal 0. Equal 0 or plus 1. So if I go to a stance that gives me +1 strength, plus up my die by 1 value, I'm probably going to have to take a penalty as one of my die. So yeah, I bump my die up by 1. I also take, my toughness goes down, but my strength goes up. Or my finesse goes up by 2, but my strength and my toughness go down by 1 each. It's equaling 0. However, not everything has to be that way. So it's like, oh, I gain plus strength, but I can't use defensive moves. Oh, well, I gain plus toughness, but I can't use offensive moves. Or, hey, I can only use punches, or I can only use kicks. That's kind of the benefit of this system. It's kind of the goal is to balance. And to reach that balance is its own kind of delicate process. But everything has to be roughly equal. And this goes for stances, moves, everything. Follow the rule of equivalency. If you go further down, keywords kind of follow that idea as well. But the kind of the point with keywords are to be able to augment your strikes, your moves. Because I actually did add in a section on combat. If we go all the way down here, basic strikes can use a character's keywords. Now, what does that mean overall? What that means is, A, characters can use keywords elsewhere, and that makes them a lot more valuable in other ways, because you can suddenly use your ability, let's say, I'm trying to think of like stagger, I think that's one, top of my head, where, hey, my punch reduces your stamina by 1. That's pretty valuable overall. But yeah, again, you can only use one keyword per ability, so it's kind of, you have to mix and match. Because I didn't want to put every single punch, every single kick style into this game. That's not the point of this game. The point of this game is to make sure that you can design the exact fighter that you want to make. And this is my way of doing it effectively, is being able to mix and match your keywords. Also here, Sakura, because I like Street Fighter character designs. Screw you. Let me pop a cold one with the boys. And then we have some of our ones on just kind of minor notes. I didn't add any of the styles which have like overtly magical things in them. But in case you do want to say like key blasts or something like that, use will. Like you have all these attributes to use them. And that's kind of the point of them. So here's kind of like the rule of thumb. Use strength and toughness and finesse for more physical actions. But use, will and technique for more of, actions that rely on the style, to know the style. And outside of that, I haven't done much down here. I think I cleaned up some wording. Is all, yeah, that's all I really did, was clean up some wording down here. Added the disarm move for attack. But with that, I think we're able to move on to, I think, our final section. Actually, our last 2 sections that we need to do. We'll just hover over Kenshira. So our last 2 sections we need to do is weapons. As well, actually, weapons. Actually, we can just kind of put that universally under the equipment section. Equipment and advancement. These are really the only 2 sections that are still needed at this point. Where, again, you can always add more stuff. You can always add something more to a game like this. There's always something that is missing, something that isn't available or, jumping out of you right now. That's fine. These are toolboxes to be used. If somewhere along the ways you say, I need to add this style, or I need this like very specific mechanic, I try to make the game as simple enough to where you can add that if you would like. Your call. But we're gonna start with equipment right now. We'll do advancement. Will be our last section. I think that's appropriate. In case you're wondering, no, equipment isn't actually going to be that extensive in any remote capacity because it doesn't need to be extensive. It's going to be fairly simple, actually. Let me see. We want to go to equipment. I said equipment. There we go. And we'll just copy paste you right here. Just because I have it. Oh god. Weapon. Is their body? Royal armor is their technique. However, normal people also also want every advantage they can get in a fight. Thus, people bring weapons and armor to the battlefield. Equipment is split between weapons and armor, with weapons being able to augment the character's offensive abilities, and armor being able to protect them from dangerous strikes and deadly blows. Okay, then why did you even copy that? Because I could. It helps me get me an idea, at least, of what I would like to put down. Why it defaults back to Arial when it really shouldn't? Who knows? Hello, phone. What do you need? Squeaky chair, squeaky chair. No, Twitch. I don't need to manage my stream through my phone, because I'm managing my stream right now with all my 1 viewers. Who's just probably me somehow. But let's see. We want to go to weapons, and you're heading 1, so you have to be heading 2. Weapons of war are plentiful and dangerous to be employed. But to a true fighter, only the most skilled with these tools of war are actually dangerous, or actually threatening. When using a weapon in the field, the character cannot use the limb being taken up by the weapon for basic strikes or moves. And then we're going to make a very simple list of edged weapons, which is going to be dagger, swords, great swords. Oh, what's some other good ones? Oh, spears. Let's see. I'll go with saber as well. Saber and rapier and axe. Great axe. There we go. Maybe wondering how are we going to be doing these. So we're going to split these up into 2 categories. Table at 2x5. Feet. Okay, so edged weapon, durability. Actually, I should put this as a knife. Sword, great sword, rights. Spear. Oh, if I can actually spell that right. Spear, rapier, saber, axe, great axe. Swords. I'm going to have 3, 5, 2, 2, 3, 3, 5. Tag. In case you're wondering, yes, we're going to bring the same exact tags as we always do in here. Why? Because it's easy. And don't fix what isn't broken. Two-handed. Two-handed. Graceful. Graceful. Pierce 1. Pierce 3. Two-handed. Two-handed, pierce 3. I'm actually going to bump the greatsword up to 6. Give it a little bit more oomph. You down to 2. And then we go to edged weapons. The edged weapon is a tool of destruction in the right hands. Able to cut, cleave, sear, or heave, or even cut, cleave, cut or cleave a limb straight off the defender's body. They are deadly in the right hands and can spell doom for those not paying attention. An edged weapon has a durability, which reflects the number of times it can be used to number of times it can deal damage. Oh yeah, so this game is called Fists of Chaos. This is a game that I have been working on for the past, a week now, I guess. And if I scroll the way up, I think the best way to word this is the fighting game that I want, not the fighting game that everyone seems to want to make these days. And a tabletop RPG. Obviously, I don't know why you would be here if it weren't a tabletop RPG, but hey, what do I know, right? And the basic system behind it is that every attribute has a die value associated with it from D4, well actually D2 to D20. With D2 being, you are really awful at this, why are you trying? To D20 being, holy god, you are so amazing at this, please help. And every roll is contested in one way or another. So, if let's say I want to scale a wall, and the game master, narrator, however you call it, says it's going to be a hard check. The narrator is going to roll a D8. You are going to roll your strength. You roll off against each other. Whoever has the highest wins. Sound a little bit janky. That's kind of the point for that. Because the core system for this game ultimately is the fighting. It is mano a mano. I'm going to beat you up. You're going to beat me up. Shirts come off. Everyone's ready. Let's do it. And if we scroll down to the because I'm a lazy person. I'm going to go straight here. Pretty much every single combat encounter for kind of like more of on the duels, kind of small scale fighting, if I can actually speak today, is based around whether or not you have the momentum. Effectively, if you have initiative. If you have momentum, you can act as much as you have stamina. Stamina is kind of your, you can almost call it your mana bar or however, something like that. And every subsequent action costs 1 more stamina. So, let's say I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to just punch. I'm saying I'm going to punch you right in the face. Boom. It's going to happen. Unless you decide to block, dodge, or do something like that. If you choose not to, it goes on. My second action is going to take 2 stamina to do. And then my third action is going to cost 3 stamina. Until either I run out of stamina and I can't do anything anymore, or I decide to hold back, use my refocus action, get my stamina back, then it's your turn. Or it's the next character's turn, whoever can seize momentum. And the kind of the crux of this is to kind of emulate that, I'd say a little bit more bare knuckle fighting rather than the fighting game style. Absolver, if you've ever heard of that game, is a big influence on this game, just because the flow of combat's a lot different than you see in like a fighting game like Street Fighter, even though you probably can see Street Fighter throughout this entire game, because I really like the... oh, perfect. Now, I was kind of going for that, because one of the key features of this game is I want every single character to really make their own style of how they fight. So if we scroll up here a ways, I have this entire section here, in case you're wondering. It's hard to find actual artwork of fighting game characters that it isn't, well, this. I have an entire section on making your own style, because this is what a basic style is composed of. I don't know if you've ever heard of Overgrowth at all, but it's one of my favorite games. It's effectively Animal Crossing for martial artists. But this is my kind of basic one. So let's say, okay, it's a martial arts game, athletic, it's a very interesting game. Watch some videos on it if you're kind of curious about it. But the key thing here is that you move, and it's a lot of martial arts. So I designed 3 styles based around it. This is called the Lugaroo, Overgrowth. Wolfire Games, some guys who made it. Really cool looking game, very odd. But this is the first style I made for them. And every style has a set of moves, utility, and keywords that they can use to their own advantage. Moves are fairly simple. Whether you're on the offense or on the defense, you can use a move for stamina. Whether that's using, for example, if you see right up here, if I go to 150, the power kick. You just kick someone in the face. That's your move. Like, you'll do strength times 2 damage. So if you roll your strength and come up with a 4, you're going to do 8 damage to them, which is pretty nice if they choose not to block it. The big thing, though, if you look over to the right, all the way to keywords, are these. Keywords, utility, and all of these. So let's say I have the Lugaroo military style, and I want to use Focus Kick. Since Focus Kick has the keyword tag next to it, I can apply one of these to it. But let's also say I have a few ranks in the Lugaroo Thug style. I can use one of these keywords on this move. So my goal is to have characters, as they gradually evolve through the game, to adopt different styles and different approaches, different moves, to really build how their character acts and fights. So you may start with I'm a very dedicated martial arts guy who just punches a lot. But by the end game, you've adopted a style based around being a little bit more athletic, a little bit more dance-like. You've picked up a little bit on your really budget, boxing style, and that you got 2 little ranks in because you thought that one little keyword called knockout would be really cool to have. And by the end, you have this character that is very much your own, and you've built your own fighting style. That's the intent. That's the kind of the goal overall, is to have characters build their own fighting style from these keywords, these various moves, various stances, to all really facilitate a very straightforward, I'm beating you up now. So, this entire section is just how you make a style. Nope, it is not locked in. So, if we scroll back up to the Lugaru military, just because that's, again, my first one that I used. So, your first one for focus kick, you may say, I'm going to go for fidget because I know he's going to try to punch me next turn. I'm just going to use fidget. I'm going to hit him, kick him in the face, back off. Next time he attacks me, I get a +2 because I'm awesome. But later on, you're like, ooh, this isn't going too well. I have to use maneuverable next time I use my focus kick, so I can just dodge out of the way with no stamina. Or later on, if you kind of go down this one, you're like, guess what time it is, boys? It's shank time. Yes, you can adapt fight to fight. You can adapt in the middle of a fight. As long as you have the keywords, as long as you have it, you're up to that, you can use them. And the goal is for every fight to be a little bit of a, okay, what's he going to do versus what I'm going to do. Because health isn't measured on a binary scale of 0 health, 100 health. It's every limb, it has its own health. So your entire character may be dedicated around disabling your enemy. He can't use his legs anymore. He's not going anywhere. He can't kick. He can't run. I've won. Or, hey, I'm going to break this guy's arm. That's how I'm going to fight him, because he's using punches exclusively. If I break both of his arms right fast, what's he going to do? Angrily waggle them at me? So it's kind of, you, the character, have to kind of improvise, you could say, of, alright, this guy likes kicking a lot. Wonder if he has a move, wonder if that's his style. Or, hey, he's using a lot of ranged attacks. Maybe if I have to close the distance on him, and I can do a really big combo on him without him being able to react. The desire, you could say, in this system is for it to be, I mean, yeah, ask away. I am a man who likes Q&As. Well, for multiple NPCs, there's 2 systems. The main draw is duels. Those are your, kind of like, when you say, oh, a fight scene in a movie or something, that's what it's kind of based around, is the you versus, like, one other guy, or 3 versus 3. If you're really going for, like, the lots of dudes fighting at once, I have this system called the Brawl, where it's really about you trying to overwhelm. It's a really simple system that you can use if you're throwing a lot of goons at you. If you really want to say, okay guys, it's time to fight him, it's the bad guy, it's, someone really big, you don't really have to worry about that, because you might be only, working with 2 characters, or 2 or 3. Perfect. So pretty much, if you are a GM, I always try to look at it as if I was GMing. If I was GMing, what I would do is effectively have a cheat sheet for each of my little characters, or each of my villains that I was really fighting against, all their basic attributes listed out, and some key moves that they can use. Do I really want to mix and match all of them? Maybe if they're important enough. Like, oh no, this man is the practitioner of the sacred devil fist style, and he has the keyword devil fist, and he's going to keep punching us with it, and he keeps applying that to all of his moves. Alright, you don't really need to add in like the 3 other moves, or 3 other keywords, because he's devil fist, man, he's going to kick your ass. So, every GM kind of approaches things differently in that regard, so I wanted to kind of keep it open enough that, yeah, you want to stat out every character full on 1-for-1, do it. I can't stop you. But if you just want to do like a key card reference or something really simple like that, go for it. Like, this seems like a lot of information, but it's a lot of front-loaded information. Because either a character is just going to, a player is going to find... Oh, go for it. Oh, sweet Jersey Mikes. How a character sheet will facilitate all these great options for players. If I were to be a betting man, now I try not to design a character sheet like right away. I used to, but I kind of stepped away from that after after just a few games of I run a lot of things online. Yeah, effectively how it would be is very central. You have your name. Usually I like to put like the players. I would have a set of basic moves. Pretty much it'd be the 4 columns of offensive moves, defensive moves, utility like stances and utility stuff, and finally your keywords. With a section at the bottom or the back or something like that, if I were to kind of just print it out. Again, I do almost everything online, so it's kind of hard sometimes. Like, this is what a piece of paper would look like, where I can just go on Google Sheets or something. And have them write down what they would want. That's how I would do it. And if you were to hand me, if I were a player and I got handed this like a piece of notebook paper and said, okay, here's your character sheet, that's how I would do it. I would try to keep everything nice and organized, being like, this is what this move does, this is what this move does, this is what my passes are. And flip it over and be like, well, this is what I would, these are my cool moves that I'm doing. Or like, hey, this is my own reference guide. It's kind of the you've probably heard of that small game known as D&D before, but it's kind of like the wizard who writes down his 5 spells even though he has 300 of them. Like, these are the ones I'm going to use 99% of the time. And that's kind of what it would be as well. It's like, these are the moves I'm going to use 99% of the time. But it's always cool to have, your flaming death kick move on reserve in case you need to use it. But yeah, no, I was my gaming experience was kind of raised on that notepad paper. Kind of looks so I was thinking about having a system like that. Hey, living the dream. So something like that. I was thinking about adding kind of a side section of, hey, he keeps using this. Hey, yeah. God, it's been a while for me. So, kind of to answer your question, either you can adopt his style, if we go up here. So pretty much every level, quote unquote, a character goes up, they pretty much they can move up a tier or adopt a new one. Alternatively, and you just reminded me of it, I'll probably put it in the advancement section when I get down there, would be, pretty much, if you've been hit by something, if you've been, if you know about something or you have a teacher, you can learn something from another style, like a new keyword, a new defensive move, a new offensive move. I might do something like that. It's one of those things, like, I have the idea in my head of how it would work, but just writing it down on paper is the hard part. You kind of get what I mean. Because one of the big things with this game, too, is that it's setting agnostic. I try to write all my games like that. Just because, inevitably, I can't dictate to what you want to play. Some people I'm gonna play D&D, or I'm gonna play, you know, whatever, like GURPS or something. And it's like impossible to say, like, okay, let's do Forgotten Realms. I'm like, half the time people are like, let's play in my super cool OC world that I spent 300 hours working on, and the players don't remember the name of it. People like making things, so I try to make all my games like that. Yeah, I was thinking about something like that. I was going to add a section effectively being like, here's what you know, like, hey, you learning just gradually, hey, I'm going to adopt this, hey, I'm going to adopt this, kind of naturally evolving, versus, hey, if you want to introduce like a super cool, super rare style from, again, like Guru Josh in the Mountains, make it 3 tiers. So you get 3 tiers of abilities that you can kind of play with or have some fun with. That really teaches you some of the ins and outs of it. Also gives your players a little bit of incentive to use those level ups on something more than just saying, I'm slightly better now at my one thing. I'm like, hey, I invested here. But something like what you're proposing, the Absolver style, has been kind of in the back of my head of how to do it. And something like that would probably be the best. It's been a while since I actually played Absolver, so I'll have to probably just review of how the exact specifics of it. Again, I would like fully encourage a game master being like, hey, if they have to find the ancient master on the top of the mountain to teach them the ultimate keyword to really help them, you know, defeat the final boss, do it. Give them that keyword for training. Put them through hell, though. That'd be my suggestion. Make sure they suffer for it. Deal damage. Yeah, I get you. That I might do something like that. Again, the system's not complex in the slightest. If I really wanted to be kind of the learn as you go, what I would do is almost tie it to the technique ability, technique attribute, which is, hey, your kind of your natural intelligence, being like, hey, I'm learning now. So someone with like really high technique is going to have a dozen moves that they know, but if you know a dozen things, you're going to find the one thing that you like. Or would you rather be the guy who, I can punch someone really good and have his limbs fly off? So it's kind of the back and forth of, do my one thing really well, become the master of literally everything, but become good at everything, or master at one. That's kind of the dynamic I want to get. Again, easier said than done. Crippling it if the attacks again, limb is destroyed. I also want to get weapons to be absolutely horrifying, because if you Google anything when it comes to like weapons and martial arts, the first thing that comes up is don't be in a fight. Yeah, that was kind of one of the big themes I was trying to aim for it. This is an odd game, to say the least. I was actually having a lot of trouble with it, like right at the beginning of development for it, like last week, where it was just like, okay, how do I get... You don't realize how complex it is for a game to say, I'm going to punch you in the face. And you think about it, you're like, oh, well, it's going to just punch him in the face, does strength. Or does it? Does it just do strength? How do you hit them? Does it matter where you hit them? What do you have on you? Are you strong? Are you weak? Well, once I kind of got that, the idea of attain perfection, attain, mastery of many things kind of became like a key thing somewhere in the middle there. So, huzzah. Mate, I wish I could do this for a living. Yeah, I know. These are all the games I've written in one way or another over time. But it started as a hobby, you could say. But with the end of the world happening outside, obviously, I've had a lot more time on my hands. But yeah, I would say this entire thing really started... God, been about a year now. Yeah, about a year now of me working on these games on and off. I would say the absolute first one, I don't know, have you ever heard of the Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game? So I ended up writing almost a second edition for it, for lack of a better word. It kind of got renamed for more of a generic setting system called Blood, Coin, and Steel. And why I did this kind of was what sparked this madness in me, you could call it. And I ripped through it, and I found I really just enjoy it. I did this for good old 4chan, my Taiwanese, surfboarding forum, where it's kind of spawned into its own nightmarish thing. The Song of Ice and Fire role-playing game, 2nd edition. This is just the core book. If you want real autism. All of these, kind of the supplements that never happened. A bunch of other like random things that people wanted or requested. But these are just things I've worked on for my own hobby. I keep getting told, like, hey, you should start like a Patreon or something, or start a coffee, or I'm like, I just never do. I don't think my product is that great. It's just a thing I do for fun. If you have any questions on any of these godforsaken games, feel free to ask. Yeah, every time I'm like, you know what, maybe I should do this. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, and like I sit down and I'm like, how? like the only thing that my thing is I don't really want to paywall people behind things to play my games. Partly due to every little piece of financial information in my head saying, no one's going to want to pay for these games because, fun fact, D&D exists. That white whale that always seems to haunt us game designers. But I also don't want to... I like people to play games. That's my core thing. Kind of the reason I started this almost was to get people to play games that they wouldn't be able to play normally. Or just kind of like my strange autism projects. You can You can just look at where is it? Yeah, Feast of Legends, the Wendy's RPG that came out. But like no, I actually wrote about this once. Like no one in their right mind is going to make the African Warlord Simulator game. No one was going to make it, so I did. Or no one's going to ever want to touch Granbelm. Crappy, it was like a 2019 anime. No one's gonna. Yeah, no one's going to want to, make a game based on that. But I just got inspired by it. True, it's in few circles. It's in a few select circles, but I may do it. I kind of just need to determine how to do it. That's just going to be a lot of back end me sitting here, doing my big thinky emoji and being like, what to do, what do. God, what's actually in the... This is my things I want to do document. And my 5 core principles of RPGs, which can roughly be summarized of they must be actually games. Let's see. Here's some just little projects that I would love to... The hentai doujin RPG that doesn't need to exist. The tank one I would love to make. I kind of have the idea of how to do it. It's just doing it. Trying to fix Riff, my Kevin Sabeda's nightmare, which, God bless Kev. That's all I can say. God bless Kev. But, mind you, these aren't even everything I've written over the course of my time. I used to have I had another game that I was working on for ages, since I was in, like, high school. Project Tank. Every time I'm like, I can do this. Let's do it. Let's sit down. Let's get the notes ready. And I just look at it and I'm like, nothing works. Like, it just is like, my always kind of like the part I always get tripped up on, kind of fall face first, and is kind of the step one, unfortunately, is like, what would every player do? Because in a tank, for example, you have the driver, obviously, you have the commander, you have the gunner, and you have the side individuals kind of doing tasks. The issue there is like, oh, I'm the gunner. What do I do? You gun. Oh. So it'd be really up to like the driver and the commander to really do everything, and like that'll work really good as a board game, but maybe not as an RPG. Then I'm like, maybe I'll adopt the only war method and everyone gets a tank, but... There used to be another one on there, but I actually wrapped that one up not too long ago, and that was a previous project I did. This is Project Tactics, which, I don't know if you've ever... True, I was thinking of something like that, like an FTL-style game. Trust me, there was quite a few ideas. Like, there were quite a few ideas on one notepad document at one point. Like, this was one of the projects originally, which was trying to emulate Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, specifically March of the Black Queen, and other games. And this started just from a core idea of, I just want to write a game like that, and yeah, no, if you want real nightmares, it's doing this entire section right here. Because, yep, all of these characters are statted out. And every single one of them has different ideas and different things behind it. Because this was literally just having to brute force my way through this. There's nothing to do, really. You just sit there and you do it. This is 94 pages. Let's see, the final word count for this turned out to 14,881. And mind you, this isn't even the longest game. The absolute longest game was Song of Ice and Fire, 2nd edition. Have this hit the table? No, not yet. One of the things about a lot of my games is I don't like playtesting them myself. And what I mean by I don't like playtesting them myself is, as the writer, I fundamentally know things that a basic GM, someone who didn't write the damn thing, would know. And yeah, it's kind of never judge your own work. That's how I kind of view it. And I have sent it out to a few people, being like, hey, if you're interested, play this. And I've gotten feedback on quite a few of my games before. And just like, hey, yeah, no, we played this a lot, and we really liked it. Or, hey, this was kind of awful. Please rework this. And I have. I think the overall, the game that I've written that has gotten the most amount of play, absolutely the most, is this little nightmare. In case you're wondering what it is, Monster Girls, baby. All of them. This is a beautifully odd. Again, the people I wrote this for was again on the 4chans, and I wrote this for them, and they have probably done the most playtesting on it. I've actually got a lot of feedback on this game, just over time, of just people playtesting it, having fun with it, saying we love it. Can you fix this? What's up with this part? You know, clarify this. And I did, actually. I clarified a lot of this. Let's see, this one is about 28,000 words. 124 pages. And then you have my essays here at the bottom. But yeah, that's why not a lot of these games have like seen extensive play. I wish. No, Project Tactics, though, that game, I would love to try to play it myself with my group, but my group is dangerously avoidance to anything resembling resource management, and that's what 95% of that game is about. So they would probably burst a blood vessel if I tried to pitch it to them. So if you want to try it, feel free to. I'll give you the link to it. What is it I'm running currently? We're currently on hiatus, unfortunately, right now, because one of my players has finals going on right now. But we were playing... where are you? Table Talk Online here, which, in case you're wondering what it's about being in an isekai anime. This is the full title, just to really give you the idea of the madness of it. And it went... Yeah, it's... This one, I managed to convince them pretty well to run it, because there's only really two main things to keep track of, being health and mana. And we play a little bit odd, because I have two players from the UK, and I'm here in the States. And it's... So our sessions are completely online, and we have 2-hour sessions. Which before you balk and cry and have a start panicking, we've made it work over the years. It's not the most ideal situation, but it's worked. Hopefully this pandemic and everything associated with it kind of cools everyone's jets a little bit, and I do plan on visiting the two UK guys probably in the next year, so I may be able to finally do an in-person session with them. That's the dream, at least, and I'll probably play something simple with them. But yeah, no, it's an interesting experience to do 2-hour sessions, mostly because you you look online to all these guys and stuff how to be a better GM. It's like, spend time with your players to make sure they love you. I mean, bitch, I have 2 hours to do this. We do not have time. Actually, someone accused me of not playing games once, and they wanted, like, how do you run a 2-hour game? So I ended up writing this. This is the short-term role-playing or playing in tabletop RPGs and the gotta go fast stage. And there's only about 20 pages of things that make combat like this, you know, sessions like these actually work. Because I noticed that's a big problem with a lot of people, is I don't have time for 4-hour, 6-hour sessions every week. You know, I'm a busy working adult. You can do it in 2. You can do it in 3. You can play these games and have a lot of fun with them in a short amount of time. It just takes a lot more effort on the game master's part, and a lot more, you know, you have to have the right players, you have to have the right game master, and you have to have the right system. Yeah, some systems work a lot better than others. I accuse D&D in this specific document wholeheartedly of not being great for this kind of game, but if you can make it work, you can make it work. Yeah, no, it's one of my key things around here is, yeah, this is how I usually try to do it, is I have the intro, the main meat of the session, and then the transition or the epilogue. It's, you don't have time really to give them a lot of this information. Yeah, I tried to do that too, but we also one of my guys has a full-time job in IT from Britain. One goes to uni full-time, and the other is full-time student and works full-time here in the States. And this is during the pandemic as well, mind you. So, yeah, it's just like, all right, boys, you can do it. I'll be drink my inspiration juice and let's all try to get our bloody Discord working. It didn't help that they were having some internet problems in the UK not too long ago, so it's like, oh no. Mid-session, one guy just disconnects. I'm like, well, alright, I guess that's what we're calling it today. What is useful? Yep. Oh, you're from the UK. Yeah, he was telling me about that. Well, technically, it wasn't Virgin Media. It was the person above Virgin Media who was having problems. And Virgin Media couldn't fix it. Having a friend in IT who could explain all this stuff, very convenient. I am not the IT man. I write. That is my thing. I write. Wait, if you're in bloody Scotland. Oh, jeez. It's real late for you then. $4 a.m. Should be. Yeah, my times are all messed up. Yeah, fun fact. Don't, like, move across coasts, like, a lot. Like I have. because you get really ingrained on like one side. You're like, oh yeah, they're 8 hours ahead. I'm like, wait a second, no, I moved 2 hours ahead. Crap, they're 6 hours now. So living the dream. Let's see, staff, mace. Give me my equipment. Give equipment. Oh yeah, no, it's fun kind of keep track of all the UK friends, and it's unfortunately I've been streaming so late recently. Like my first viewer I really had on here who like really chatted with me, I isn't one of my friends, was someone from South Africa. And it was just like, what are you doing up this late? It's like 4 a.m. for you. Go to bed. So it was interesting how you meet some interesting folks this late night. I didn't mean to stream earlier, but it's like, why would I do that? True. I've always been the person who likes just sharing stuff with people across everything. So it's always just like, well, congratulations. By the way, I should add. Yeah, trust me. I'm luckily or unluckily, I actually don't have a TV. I've just never had the desire to get one in my, dinky apartment. So I have, and luckily to avoid the TV show play, I had to visit my mother recently to help her move. And she has this like massive TV, and it was bad just because it'd be like, time to be a potato today. No computer, just a television. I'm ready. Let's do it. Are we watching 60 Day Fiancé? Yes, we are. Let's sit here for 3 hours and die internally. Awesome. Staff Mace Club. I've been watching shows on like Netflix and stuff, and there's a few shows on like television I'd be like, yeah, let's watch that. But not really actively. Hell, that's probably going to be what I do after this stream is switch on some Netflix and watch that. Not sponsored, by the way. I wish I was. With my 1 viewer and 14 followers. Let's see, just curling down quickness. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I usually try to draw inspiration from a little bit of everything. Yeah, I have a very large folder of just random games I've acquired over the years, bundles and stuff, or procuring through very legal means in case of games that are no longer available for publish. Yeah, fun fact, try to find Amber. Rules light system for sci-fi. Top of my head, stars without number. If you want to go for that vibe. Yeah, let me see what I have. Ah, no, I get you. Sin Nomine stuff. People either love it or they despise it. There's no middle ground with them. I'm not a huge fan of them. I just know they exist. Yeah, that's kind of like all their products. Like, Godbound was another one that people was just like, play this instead of Exalted. I'm like, okay. I looked at it. Didn't hit me as much as I was hoping it would. So what kind of sci-fi are you looking for? Just basic laser guns in space or cyberpunk? Cyberpunk, alright. If you want something real light, God, what is it called? I know, it's gonna bother me until I think it's called The Sprawl, or something similar to that. It's very rules light, but I played it once with my guys, and they seem to really like it. Is it this? No, it's not this. One day I'll find it. It's very simplistic. It's only like a couple. It's not The Sprawl. It's another game. It's like 2D. It's like a 2D6 game. It's very, very simple, but it was open enough where you can add a lot of stuff to it, but had enough rules behind it so you can make the game what you wanted, but it didn't have everything in there, so you had a lot of wiggle room. Was it this? Ah, there we go. This is it. Pop up on... Yeah, stream. Okay, yeah, here we go. This is what I mean by it's kind of confusing because it's called Sprawl instead of The Sprawl. It is... Oh no, don't worry about it. This is my relaxing time, weirdly enough, where I just kind of hang out and do relaxy things. So just being able to talk to someone, it's a little game. Again, it's Juan Vasquez, and this is literally all it is. It is a very simple game, but there's enough stuff in it where you can kind of make how you want it. It's very much a toolbox system. And you get Juan Vasquez. If you just Sprawl, it should be able to find it. Just look for kind of the artwork. But I played that once. It's very light, but it's very nice. It was a one shot. Yeah, okay, I remember it was a one shot, and every single player had a secret objective as they were raiding like a super secret compound, and they were all. I remember assigning just completely evil ones. It was one player had to kill another player, but that player had to simultaneously steal everything from another player, while that player only had the objective of don't let them get away with the information. And the other player knew that someone else was an assassin. Here, give me 1 second, I can pull it back up. This is what happens if I stream for a little while. My computer's just like, what? No, please. Please, no. There we go. And I believe he is actually the artist on that. I think that's the catch there. I think he did. I want to say he's the artist, and he's done a. There's a few games that use kind of like the same basic gist, but I played that one. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Basic strikes. Ooh. Wait, are you? Please, God, tell me you're not all. Okay, good. Sometimes Google Docs likes to play nice. Other times Google Docs does not play nicely. So we're going to sort of column to the right. Ah, there we go. Hey, no worries. Again, if I can get people playing games, doesn't matter what they are, I'm happy. I introduced a lot of people back in college, like, here, let's play some games, everybody. You know, back in high school, that was we played as often as we could. I grew up in Middle America, so it was just like Dungeons and Demons. You mean? Yeah. Picture a bunch of like high school jackasses trying to be like super sneaky as we like have to like maneuver our own, you know, games and everything. That's why I wrote my first game I wrote was because of that, because we couldn't play D&D because that was satanic and evil. But if I said, here's my own game that I wrote, it was okay. Welcome to the wonderful world of deception and how you start being a game designer. Oh yeah, no, trust me, yeah. No, there was some interesting things that we had to do to play. We had to play in my basement. We had to lie to our. They had to lie to their parents pretty actively because I managed to convince my family, like, yeah, no, this is what we're doing. It's fine. Don't worry. Hell, my mom was like, I don't give a shit. I'm like, yeah, I got the cool mom. Everyone else thinks they're playing Satan games. Oh, God. In case you're wondering why I'm making all these terrifying noises, my back is all messed up. So I have to sometimes crickety crackety back in the shapey. Yeah, no, my mom was lucky enough where she was around the Seattle scene for a very long time. She just she knew a lot about that kind of stuff, and she just didn't really care. She was just like, yeah, do whatever you want. Don't sacrifice anyone to elder gods, and we're fine. And it was just like, yay! Yeah, no, having to enter, being the yeah, being the negotiator in front of like the 12-year-old negotiator in front of your friends, fucking family, being just like, well, yes, I'm 16 years old, and I am going to now try to discuss to this very religious family why their son isn't being converted to Satanism by me. Yeah, no, it's we're fighting we played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. That was our big thing back, and that was our first campaign was Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and that one got quickly shut. That one went sideways. One of my players found his dwarf character. His character sheet got found by his family, and it was just like, oh no, what do we do? I had to convince him, like, no, it's mine, don't worry about it. He just wanted to take a look at it. It's fine. The fact doesn't really need to be that long, but I don't respond right away. It's because I'm Pierce edged. What if I were to tell you this was 6 years ago? Yeah, I'm only 22. Yep. Welcome to Middle America. Yeah, I managed to. Nope, 2000. It was 2009, 2010, roughly. Was when we first kind of like doing our like very basic stuff. This was like when I like, here you go, guys. Look, it's. Don't worry, guys. And, like little middle school, notepad. Back in like 2000. I think 2013, 14 is when we really was doing it. Yeah, I was like right in high school I started. I got real lucky compared to a lot of people in my town because one of my friends, his dad is like a old school grog. And I mean this in the most affectionate way possible. He was yeah, I know, he was like old school. He played AD&D, all the old stuff. And that was his thing. Like my first game I actually ever played was an OSR, Castles and Crusades. And that was, I think that's why I've always been kind of soured on like 5e and all those different games, because when your first game has such a great DM mixed with such a great, like, nice, simple OSR system, it's kind of hard to actually kind of get out of that. And like, but soon after, I would probably be a D&D guy my entire life if it wasn't for part of his group, because I got invited to his big formal group, not our like the kiddie group I was originally part of. The big formal group. Everyone was way older than me. It was kind of intimidating at first, but I got used to it. One of the guys in that group introduced me to Rifts, the greatest RPG of all time, and I will fight tooth and nail with anyone who says otherwise. Because if you're a teenage boy, Rifts is the greatest thing ever, because it's everything you could ever want. I mean, it's like, I found it. I found the game of my dreams. It's so rock and roll, it hurts. Yeah, I just had a lot of fond memories with that game, and maybe it was just the group, maybe it was just the people, but I always kind of had that very. It's one of those games where it's really hard to replicate. It's like you can't really have riffs without riffs and the jank that goes alongside of it. I tried the Savage Worlds version of it. It just didn't wet my whistle. I tried to like it. I really tried. But it just didn't click for me. But Savage Worlds just doesn't click for me. Yeah, it's some systems benefit from jank, some don't. And sometimes the streamlining of rules is like, this is a good idea. We can actually get people to really play this kind of interesting, awesome setting. Other times it's like, you're gonna lose something kind of fundamental to the experience, you could say. That's why Exalted, because I actually started trying to work on making my own version of Exalted, which was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, because Exalted's jank, Exalted's weirdness is so tied to its exaltedness. Like it's impossible to kind of separate charms and the weird interactions and being able to do a quadruple flip and kick someone in the face using power of awesome and then explode later. It's hard to put that, like, streamline it to make it easier, because it's not really designed to be easier. So it's like, meh, please work. Part and an armor penalty AP. And how do I want to do this? I'm specifically going here because I have one thing I like to do is I kind of like going back through old systems, old games, to kind of cherry pick things that worked in other places. It's like, why bother rewriting the exact same thing multiple times when you can just do this? Saves time, saves effort. What's the point across? Armor type. Oh, didn't mean to hit that. Alright, so obviously 0, 0, basic, 1DR, armor penalty 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Actually, if you do 2, 4, 6, 8, and the armor penalty being 1, 2, 1, 3, 5, 7. Because max, this is on each part, so yeah, you're not really encouraged to have. No worries. Let's see. Armor penalty, DR. I can put you all the way up. Basic, light, medium, heavy. Actually, I'm gonna write a side note. Side note. Armor stacking. Armor stacking. Armor wrist guard. Plan ahead. Come on, walking tin can. Then why did you put it in? Well, then why did you put it in the game? Well, you put it in the game because you need to have it. Actually, no. No freehand. Beyond. Oddly row. Let's see. Armor. And plot picture right there. Every character develop and become one step closer to finding enlightenment. Finding enlightenment. Racing. Oh, wait a second. I know what to do. There are two kinds of advancements. Incremental. Incremental and learned. Incremental. Through time, efforts, and overall skill, a character will advance themselves gradually through their own power and glory. Incremental advancements occur at major story points. Or after a certain number of sessions. Footnote depending on the length and time of depending on the length of the game. This may be actually aim for 3 to 5 sessions. During an incremental advancement, the character is allowed to do two things. To do one of the following things. Advance a tier in a learned style. Acquire a new skill. Increase an attribute by 1 step. To a maximum of D12. Attain perfection in an attribute by advancing it to D20. Actually, let's see. Adopt a new style. Learned. The character through time. Character can naturally grow with experience, knowledge. When fighting others, finding masters, and learning ancient skills, they may acquire additional attributes. May acquire additional moves, styles, or skills along their journey. Alright, well, have a nice rest of your night. Get some good sleep. If you haven't, oh, it looks like you just followed me. Thank you very much. I usually stream around this time anyway, so feel free to hop back on anytime you get bored. Sayonara. Styles or skills along their journey. And begin learning something new by curiosity. Absolver learning news. What is the secret? Come up. Render unto notepad. Choose to begin learning their new tool for their arsenal. Choose begin learning the tool for their new by experiencing it or having it taught to them. You can have a maximum of 5 things they are currently learning, but each kind of learning takes time, takes different amount of time and effort to learn. Skill. Every time the character uses is attacked by and learns more about a certain topic, they will grow their knowledge. When they have attained the knowledge, they will have access to what they were learning to use at all times. So, specific moves. Tier value times 5 learning required. to be used on them repeatedly. Actually, so if we do that, and then if we plus two knowledge for, actually, it's kind of a jank way of doing this. So plus 2 knowledge for having the move used on the character. Plus 1 knowledge for having the move demonstrated to the character. Plus 3 knowledge for having the move taught to the character by one who has mastered it. That's fun. Knowledge for how. Actually, plus tech knowledge having the actually no. So yeah, get a specific move, your tier value times 5, so it's a tier 3 move. It's going to require 15 knowledge. If you just constantly just get yeeted over someone's shoulder, you're going to gradually learn the move. And if you just have it demonstrated to you repeatedly. So plus 3 knowledge for using the move in a mock battle, for failing to use the move in a mock battle. Plus 5 knowledge for successfully using the move in a mock battle. So the idea behind mock battles, yeah, so the key idea behind mock battles will effectively be like you're training with someone directly, and you'll have access to the moves kind of like as a bonus, you could say. So I want to learn how to do my Falcon Punch. So if I continue to want to learn how to do my Falcon Punch, I'm going to punch forward and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a budget version of it. I can only really use it with that teacher because I haven't mastered it yet, and take a penalty to using it. Yeah, I'll have to put a note in for how mock battles work. You can go away, and you can go away. You can go right back here. So, let's see. Advancement, incremental, learn specific moves, styles, tier value, 15 knowledge required. 15 plus 5 for each step of complexity. The style is plus 5 for knowing about, plus 5 knowledge. Usually we'll give them a plus 10 knowledge. Actually, no. No. You want to learn a specific move? No. Is for each step of the complexity. Each step of complexity the style is plus 5 knowledge for teacher of the style. +5 knowledge for having a similar style. +5 knowledge for fighting against someone with the style of equal or greater strength. +3 knowledge for fighting against someone with the style of weaker strength. There's going to be a lot of side notes on this one because there's just a lot of assumptions being made here. But don't worry about that. And skills, 10 knowledge. Actually, 10 +2 knowledge for each skill known by the character. Which means I'm going to actually turn this down to 8. Because you start with one skill, so you'll be 10 knowledge for the first one, 12, 14, so 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, yeah. So if you just want to learn all the skills, it's going to take you a lot of time. +5 knowledge for having a teacher of the style. +2 knowledge for failing a check with the skill. +3 knowledge for succeeding a check with the skill. Actually, I want to do +1. Yep. Okay. And I believe this might be done. We may just call it here because actually, I should put in the side note. Learned advancement terms and what they mean. Tier value. We're in a style. Would the character find that this move in particular? Moves, utilities, keywords. How much style would the character find this move in particular? Bottom. Mock battle. Mock battle is a simple duel between characters to test out new abilities and skills. During a mock battle, math bundle, a character can choose to use a new move. You use learning moves, tier 1 of a learning style, or a skill. Learning moves, use learning, can choose to use their learning, use the things they are learning at a penalty of +2, at a penalty of +4 to their opponent. Opponent's defenses, actually offenses, defenses, or offenses/defenses. So pretty much the idea behind the mock battle is that you are saying, okay, you know, let's do a quick fight, just you and me, let's do it, 1v1 me bro and Club Penguin, and you start kind of punching and stuff, and you're making like a lot of these sloppy mistakes that you wouldn't be doing if you actually knew how to use this ability, but you don't. It's the flaming uppercut, except you don't quite know how to do the flaming part yet. So you're kind of trying to compensate for it. You're trying to learn the move, but your opponent is also trying to flip you over his shoulder and beat the shit out of you because he can. So you kind of want to push your characters to really train with one another. I want to kind of encourage almost this PvP aspect where, yeah, no, now it's time for us to kick the shit out of each other so we can learn our new moves. And, that's what we're going, that's the plan now. Time to beat each other up for fun and profit. Okay, so let's keep going. Can be any. Greater, weaker. It's actually similar. There's one. Each other. Two punching styles share the same basic ideas, while a kicking and punching style, and a punching style do not. And it's kind of the idea between that is like you already kind of know the basics of it. Like, yeah, I need to punch someone for this punching thing. Like, okay, I know how to punch. Which muscles need to be worked out, which ones don't. And let's see. Greater, weaker, equal strength is determined by the number of tiers. Actually, it is determined by the highest tier, the style the character possesses. So a character with a tier 5 in one style is greater strength than someone with tier 1 in 5 styles. And that makes sense too, if you think about it. Like, I am perfected at this one art. You kind of spread yourself a little bit thin. I'm of greater strength than you. So if you're trying to learn, the thing is, if you're trying to learn a style from someone and you're tier 5 in something, and you're trying to learn someone from who's tier 4, you're technically fighting someone who's weaker than you. You're trying to learn something of this new style, but you're also getting your instincts take over at that point, and it's like, ah, crap. Like, I know I'm stronger than you in this. Or, hey, but if you fight someone stronger than you, you're kind of getting more of a feel for it. The likelihood that they'll be able to snap your arm and, like a swing, pretty high. Gains knowledge by attempting to use the skill with a penalty. With a move 2 penalty. Actually, no, the opposing +2 penalty to all of their oppositions using the skill. So the idea behind that, let's say I'm trying to learn to become a better accountant, and I want to try to use my accounting knowledge. I'm trying to learn more about accounting, so I'm trying to use my accounting to solve a problem. And Game Master says, okay, it's going to be, it's going to be a medium. It's going to be a D8 check, versus your technique. So you're going to roll your technique, but I'm going to roll D8 +2. Like, that's, I'm just going to have a flat chance higher than you. So if you roll a 1, you're SOL. Because, again, you're trying to do something you're not really skilled in, so you're trying to learn it. And, again, failure is knowledge. It's also very annoying for you because, well, you keep failing. Is there any other things? No. Okay. I have to go through here and just clean things up. I might do that just after stream because this is just a very disgusting document as of right now. It's just not very clean. I need to make it clean. There's so many things that are just like a little bit off kilter. It's like, oh no, why are you so awful looking? Let's see if this works. Add on short paragraphs. You gonna work today? Yes. Good. I've achieved ultimate strength. You have nothing. Kick. Similar styles, teachers and masters, and tier value. All right. Kind of a shorter game, but I think we are, outside of me adding pictures obviously and cleaning some things up, I think we're done. I could add more. Let's see, we are ending off this in 7,500 words. Not a decent amount, not a lot, but the core idea, actually I should add a side note. Actually, ooh, I forgot complexity. The complexity. An alien with no legs may find it a solid 10. Yeah, that's kind of the idea for complexity, is certain races, certain things always will have a predisposition when it comes to the complexity of the style. And that's kind of up to the game master to kind of get the solid idea of what he's, or what they're seeing, or what they are seeing. Because super strong, super cool, super awesome hidden style, maybe incredibly difficult to understand just because of how obtuse it is. It's complex. It's a weird, complex, super secret style. However, a style that's pretty easy to grasp may only be a 1 to 3. Like, it's not that complex to actually do. Or, to be honest, something like most martial arts these days fall within the 1 to 5 range. Why? Because they're not complex. Like, you get some of the more complex ones, but overall, it's punches, it's kicks, it's this. If you were to start developing martial arts for things that aren't necessarily human, it would get a lot more complex. For example, using the Lugaru and the overgrowth ideas. Like, the rabbit styles are very common for rabbits. There would be complexity about 2, honestly. There's kind of learning the ins and outs of them a little bit complex, but nothing much. But to a dog to learn it, it would probably be complexity 6, because it's how do you rely on your legs suddenly. But a rabbit trying to learn a dog style, maybe complexity 8, 9, because you're fundamentally going against your own idea of what fighting is. It's a lot more about disables and crashes rather than evading and dodging. That's kind of what that's there for. It's to make sure that you, the game master, have a little bit more power to make sure that the one person doesn't immediately just press the instant kill you button. Just like, haha, I've discovered the ultimate form by combining, legless judo with, super karate and Devilman style. Yeah, no, you gotta learn that shit. Or spend your incremental advances getting only 1 tier in it, which isn't very good. Let's be honest, there's probably going to be more. There's going to be more. It's going to be more vaguely perverted images of Street Fighter characters. I'm not gonna lie, that's what's gonna be down here. Yeah. So let's see. So we're pretty solid. I could add another little side note, but I don't feel like it really. I don't think it's that important. But we are, outside of me going through and having to clean some things, actually done with FISTS of CHOS. I think the game works relatively okay. From a purely, theoretical standpoint, kind of sitting back in my, Athenian chair debating with myself, I believe that on a philosophical standpoint, it works. I believe all the punches, I believe the math works out. I think that's kind of going to be the complex part, is, does the math work? And I plugged some numbers yesterday. It works. There's a few explosion combos that you can pull off, and sometimes you can rapidly reduce your own, stamina and just get beat up. It kind of is, glory to the first man fight, but isn't that a lot of the case with a lot of fights? So, I believe for now, I might come back to it. Obviously, I'm going to clean some things probably tonight, add some pictures and all that jazz. But overall, I feel that things have gone relatively solid with good old FISTS of CHOS, and we're going to be starting on our next project. Maybe tomorrow, maybe not, depending on how I'm feeling. But thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your night, and I will catch you on the flip side. This is zippity. Bye.